All right, this is either going to be a great success today or it's going to be a total disaster. For the first time, we are streaming live in HD, which is going to be awesome because it's going to show the code that we do much better for you guys that show up here every week to see the program. And we're also streaming to two different destinations today. Storyteller, can we bring bring this thing back up here. We are streaming to both the MeteorJS community channel, which most of you are on, and also to the MeteorJS NYC channel, which is the New York City. It's the New York City meetup. All right, and let's see if we can advance to the next. There we go. Okay, so that's the one that you're familiar with. You'll see that on the left-hand side, the program was pending, and when we go to the next slide, right, we'll see that that's also the case with the New York City channel. So you can come in from both sides. My hope is that we were going to actually see more people from the Meteor New York community join us in the future, those that have not made it to the broader MeteorJS global community. So with that, we're going to be doing a slight format change today and watch and see if you can figure out what's going on. And today I am live streaming from a different location. But first, you are watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. If you don't know, my name is Alim Ghaffar, and I'm streaming to you live today from San Francisco. It is 6 o'clock in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. It's a little early and it's dark outside. I am in a hotel lobby. I'll tell you a little more about my trip in a bit. But with me today are the Jan brothers, and they're going to introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller CZ, and I'm coming to you back from Japan. So I'm back in Prague, Czechia, sadly. But I will have some new decorations in the back for you, so you can maybe spot that now much better in HD. And with that, Jan, what's up with you?
Hey, this is Jan Küster from Germany, coming to you with a new camera installed. So hopefully we will get at a better quality level this year for everyone. Let's see how these things work out. And apologies if there are any minor mistakes. We are using a new live streaming software, and sometimes there are still things to figure out.
Yep.
Let's see how that works, right?
Absolutely. But we've decided this year we're gonna go HD, and for your benefit, and hopefully you'll have a great experience with it. So with that, let's get right on to the news.
Yeah, so this is the very first news, and it's scary, a lot. We are back in security area. Things are getting hot and heavy. So the thing is, again, there were some Chrome extensions delivering some malicious code, and this time, just by chance, there was a person or employee of Cyberhaven who also manage a Chrome extension, and they got phished in a way that they can track and analyze the attack behavior, and they found out. So this attempt was a part of a larger attempt in order to compromise multiple browser extensions, mostly for Chrome, in order to exfiltrate Facebook ads user data, such as user ID and tokens, in order to get into their accounts later on. And we have seen similar things before, that browser extensions were used or were captured and delivered as a new version in order to get users' data and sniff on users' data, sniff on things that extensions have permissions on. And this shows also there is still a huge issue with the extensions permissions model, because these extensions are even allowed to do mouse click events, and the users don't even realize that. And from this article perspective, this is something you should read, because it gives you a very clear step-by-step analysis what happened there. And I hope this raises the awareness that Chrome extensions or browser extensions as a whole are really a thing to look out for as a security threat, especially if you're handling any secrets. If you're handling any secrets in your browser, and when we think about Meteor, we have local storage, and we have tokens saved in local storage. And on other websites using local storage, session storage, other websites using certain ways of cookies. Some cookies are secure, some not. And coming from that, this is a threat model we have to think about. So I suggest you to read this article to get a more deeper idea on how this worked in detail. And from my end, I would throw in for a very quick discussion with you both, what can we do about that? Because I'm relying on lots of browser extensions, and of course, I prefer extensions that are open source, but not all extensions are open source, especially when they're from a commercial vendor. Some of them are somewhat closed source browser extensions. And so what do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what I've done is I've actually gone in and disabled a number of browser extensions. Some are duplicative. I use these extensions. I use a number of different extensions to figure out the technologies that are behind different websites so that I can, understand what's going on there. And it's one of the ways I figure out like whether or not a website is actually built with MeteorJS. And you know that I maintain a Flipboard magazine for that, where I try to catalog sites that I find that run with MeteorJS. But beyond that, there are other tools that I use that if I don't know the authors now, or if I'm not quite sure what I've done, is I've gone ahead and disabled them. I did add one browser extension the other day. I don't remember what it's for off the top of my head, but it is a worry for me because I use Chrome, and my Chrome ID, basically copies all of those extensions to every session I have, regardless of the computer I'm on. And it's a tremendous convenience. But if there is a problem with these malicious extensions, that is a concern of mine now. And so there are a couple of things I worry about, just from a user perspective, but then also from a developer perspective, like this complicates building web applications because we rely so much on certain storage facilities that the browser had. And let's face it, it's gotten quite sophisticated. In the very early days, it was just cookies. And now we have like IndexedDB, we have local storage, we have other ways that we can store information. And if it's possible to hijack all of these, that presents a real problem. I really need to understand this problem better, and I don't. So, that's where I'm coming from on this.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
I think this kind of goes to in general, should I say, good, not etiquette, but more of a, kind of trying to keep things clean and simple. So, there is in Japan the tradition of a New Year cleaning. So I think that now with the new year, it's a great opportunity for everybody to kind of go in, revisit all your extensions, and not just extensions, in general, kind of clean up things on your computer, because usually, if you leave that, then that usually introduces a lot of issues. So for me, when it comes to extensions, I'm just looking at them right now. Majority of them are developer extensions.
Yeah,
I have one for my to-do list. I have one for communication because they don't have a could say a different way how to do that. Things, there's like Lighthouse, and then there's stuff like HubSpot, Ground News, and like 2 or 3 other could say simpler extensions, or things like Grammarly. So my personal, here I'm trying to kind of keep it under 20, which right now I'm fulfilling. And then the big one is also, I could probably drop it down even more. But the big thing is, kind of in this greater, let's say, security question or infrastructure is that, once any malicious code has, could say, access to your browser, and then kind of from that can access all the local storages, all the index DBs, which thanks to sandboxing should not happen. But if that happens, then no matter what security measures you put in place, if it can, if it's, for example, it's like a keylogger or something like that, then most of the time it's it's like over, unless you have like really things like hardware keys and other things. So it always is constantly a cat and mouse game with security, and also kind of say onion slicing. So that's from that. But I think kind of goes to the basic security approaches. Don't install things that you don't need. Make sure that you install what you don't need, and make sure that you always get it from a trusted source. So
totally agree.
That's kind of like the absolute basis, and I've very much outgrown the stage of installing every cool looking extension or application or anything like that. So kind of trying to keep things as simple as possible, also because remembering all the extensions, of course they will eat up into your performance. So that's something to consider as well, especially sometimes when developing Meteor. If I make mistake in my React or something like that, I need all that extra memory so I can exit out of that before it spirals into something potentially dangerous as well. So that's my approach kind of to things.
Yeah. So everyone out there, keep your eyes open on the Chrome extensions, and when the next time you have some time to spare, review your extensions, and make sure you know what you have installed, and keep an eye on other extensions you install. So the next story is a LIMS story.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like this whole episode really is about trends that we've been seeing, and also there's issues in security. We've been watching these. Some of the trends are not great, right? We've seen this again and again. And we're also like going to bring you some media news here. I'm just giving you a little update on that just now so that we're on the same page. We have spent a lot of time on the or I want to bring this up because, well, let me get back to my notes here for a couple of reasons. One is this is a recent story from Leaping Magazine by a guy by the name of Bill Toulis. He refers back to a research paper that was posted on December 18th in, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the archive, right? It's ARXIV. It's ARXIV. That's a place where a lot of software computer papers are posted to, I guess, before they are either peer reviewed and then published in a known journal. And there are two. This is a paper by researchers from Carnegie Mellon University and North Carolina State. They found that 4.5 million suspected fake stars in GitHub were found, and it suggests that there is this growing popularity scams and contests to upscore some of these repos, these projects. So if you can't trust stars as a metric, and we all use it, right? I mean, Jan Kuster, do you take a look at how many stars a project typically has as you're evaluating a list of options? I mean, I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But I don't give 100% into it because of metrics like these. That's the same like with YouTube likes, for example.
Sure.
And but there is already a tendency, because I think It's rather because these projects appear on top of my search list when I'm searching GitHub,
Right.
because I'm usually searching for more mature projects, more stable projects, and usually these mature and stable projects also have much more stars, because
Right.
over time they have proven to be good, and then the stars are somewhat of an indicator. But of course this metrics now becomes more relative.
Right. So I think in a way what you're suggesting is that you have a you have a little bit of skepticism on just looking at that solely as the metric. But I would say that the majority of people who are strapped for time, stars are what they're looking at, and that's what guides them in this, right? I'm not saying that's the best way to do it, but I think that is the way people typically look at it. They look at some popularity index and they use that to guide their decisions. I think what we need to really be aware of is just fundamentally how much that's been gamified and used against us. And so, one of the things I thought about with this is, well, that's a problem. It's not going to be an easily solved problem. What else can you do if you're a developer and you're looking for some way to get some insight into whether or not a project that has a lot of stars is a good project? I would say it's probably still a good starting point, but that's not where you end, right? What you want to do is you want to then take a little further. I mean, nothing's going to immunize you from bad actors, but you could try as best as you can to do a little extra work to make sure that, to minimize the likelihood that you're going to be taken advantage of. And so, one of the things that you might want to do is, and this is from some suggestions I got from spanning the internet. So one suggestion is review forks and contributions, examine the number of forks and the level of activities of pull requests and issues. That actually will suggest that instead of just people clicking and popularizing a repo, we actually see real work going on there. And we can examine that work to see whether or not it's malicious work or it is actual useful contributions that people are making. Analyze the commit history. That's one of the other things that are related to this that you could look at. Look at the issue tracker activity. See what people are writing about, what they're communicating about. That'll give you also a better sense of whether or not this is, a poorly attended, a poorly utilized repo. And it also tells you a little bit about what are the problems people are facing. So if there are activities and issues that are being posted in and they're not really, they're not attended to, that might give you some pause, right? You might see a lot of people saying, well, I've done an install and it's not working and I can't get it to configure. And if nobody's responding and nobody's giving you some useful feedback, those could be indicators that maybe this is not the repo for you. You might want to move on, right? Check for external reviews and mentions of this. Again, those can be gamified, but if they are by well-known review sites or developers that you know personally or have some respect for because you've seen them and their work, that's another way of doing it. And engage with the community. Ask questions about it. Hey, you've used this repo. What has been your experience, right? And see what the response is. Now, I mean, these are just a handful of some suggestions that you could use to mitigate the issue. Again, I don't think this is easily solvable. I'm not solving it today. I'm hopefully sharing some useful tips that could help you out. If you guys have some additional tips that you want to throw in here, please do so.
I just want to two things to kind of put in here.
Sure.
Over the first of all, I might think we have echo from your side or somebody.
I'm sorry.
I'm hearing echo, guys, from you. Sorry about that.
Oh, I've got a headset in, so hopefully that's minimizing any kind of stuff.
Okay,
All
so
right.
it's from Jan. Okay, so two things or maybe three. One thing also with the fake stars over the holidays, we've also encountered, you could say, not necessarily like attacks but a lot of increase of spam towards Meteor forums themselves. That's something that we have been tackling, and also on GitHub as well. I've done a lot of cleaning and reporting on that front. So
Yeah.
that I think that might be a little bit connected. There's been quite a big of an uptake, or it might just be because a lot of people are on vacation. So a lot of the defenses against spams and all these automated things are, could say, not as well assigned, because a lot of the watchmen on the wall are not there. So that's kind of connected to that. We've also in the past covered a few tools that
Mhm.
kind of help with deciding or kind of analyzing repositories, and they're from multiple ways that analyze multiple things. So that's something to check our past episodes on. And if there is interest, let us know, guys, in the comments. We can look more into them and see what's kind of is the best, or everything. It's because a lot of there's a few of them based on different metrics and different rankings. I do believe very recently we had the ranking for Meteor, I think, on OSS rank. So that's that. And
Yeah.
Simon has pointed, seriously, I don't know, it's important, I don't pay attention. That's like one thing, stars don't really mean that much to me, because everybody uses them a bit differently. A lot of people use them just, okay, this is a bookmark to something that I might want to return in the future. But still, no matter how you use it, the stars, likes, and similar are an indicator for the algorithm that recommends a the repositories, videos, and so on. So we should definitely leave us a like here under the video to help us in the algorithms to get more people to come and see our video.
Okay. So that's right. Yeah. What do we have next here? Yeah. Get those likes in, hit those thumbs. Ooh, I like this tree map.
Yeah, that's a great one, right? So
Yeah.
who would have guessed what this tree map is about? Maybe I give you 1 second to think about it, and here it is. This is tree map servers, email
Uh-huh.
servers found to be vulnerable of leaking information due transport, because it's not TLS encrypted transport. So passwords and usernames would be completely visible over the traffic when these web servers are used. And they found these researchers found 3.3 million web servers just
Wow.
by their search routine, and there might be much more
You know what?
out there.
What I thought
What?
this was before, when you put it up, was the donations different countries make to the Ukrainian war. So that's
interesting, because it looks like US super big, then Germany, and then Poland, and then but then Japan. I would have gotten suspicious. No, it's actually the distribution of these mail servers found. And the question is, why is that important for us, or why is this interesting for us to or why does it have consequences for us? Well, first of all, this is just POP3, an IMAP that was checked. There's of course also SMTP, and that also needs to be secured or encrypted, because otherwise people can get easily access to send mails using the SMTP. And our web services, our web applications use email all the time to send an enrollment email, to notify users, and so on. And especially nowadays, nearly every major website uses these emails, these email services for second factor, like, hey, you logged in, and here's the code, please confirm your login using this code, and so on. And the question is, do you know if your services run with TLS? I mean, you have to trust the vendor if you're using an external vendor. Or if you set up your own services, do you know if it's working? So that these are questions that have to be answered. And I will put later on in the description a little tutorial or a little article how you can use OpenSSL to confirm that the mail service you use is using SSL or TLS in regards to POP3, IMAP, and SMTP. And everyone should check that out at least once, because we all leverage email, we all rely on that, and as you can see in the map, this is still an issue in 2025.
Wow.
That's
So it's
crazy.
So it's almost a million servers out there are vulnerable.
3.3 million have been found.
Wow. Yeah, I'm being US centric. I'm sorry. That's my bias, But yeah, 3.3 million is quite a. So I guess the call to action is take a look at your setups, your customer setups, and let's make sure that we're not exposing them to any kinds of vulnerabilities, with their email. That's pretty good advice, I think.
Yeah, I kind of want to hit on, here, very interesting that, of course, United States, it makes sense that it's on number one because that's where most of these servers and services are located. Germany is a bit surprising because I would have expected they would be much more on top of these things, but I think they are suffering from similar let's say malaise or issue that Japan is suffering from, that once they set things up, that's it. You don't touch it unless it breaks.
Plus, we're Stone Age technology, registered trademark.
So that's kind of would explain these numbers, and I think Poland will be potentially similar. I think hidden back there is also Czechia, which has to probably do, or like with a lot of these small countries, it might also be related to like their, you could say, country-specific services. And again, I would say the biggest thing is that once these things are set up, people usually don't tend to want to touch them again, because if you start tinkering with them, that's usually when things break, and then it just becomes more of a nightmare.
What's the next story? Oh, is that me? Up next?
I think so.
All right. So you guys had a great last episode. I was not there. Actually, it was Jan's. It was Storyteller's personal stream that they were on, and you guys were doing these predictions for what's going to be hot in the next year, and I missed out on being part of that fun. We did one ourselves last year, but instead of giving you my opinion this time, I thought what I would do is I would bring in an article that I found where they talked about some top open source projects. This was on Dev2O. It is by a guy by the name of Jay Sadana. And I thought what we could do is, instead of me going through things that I think, we'd go through these. And let me just tell you what's on that list there. We have Astro, LangChain, Sigstore, DuckDB, Bun, and OpenTelemetry. We don't have to go through all of them. There are a few of them, I think, that are interesting from our point of view. And so I think I want to just focus in on Astro, maybe DuckDB, and Bun, if you guys will, and just kind of get your reaction on that. Astro has been rapidly rising in interest. I think the trends show that people are interested in it. We've talked about it in some past episodes, but have you given any thought about whether or not, Astro as a project is something that you feel might have its time this year around, or is it just too narrowly focused a project without as much interest? It's something that's kind of like a problem searching for a solution. What do you think? Hot takes today. Hot takes.
Okay, I think I remember seeing Astro also rise in the JavaScript survey, so definitely there is interest in that for myself. From what I remember,
Mhm.
when I was looking at it about half a year back or something like that, I had the same issue I had with Next, which is the file-based router, which just always rubs me the wrong way. But that's just my very biased personal preference.
Yeah.
So that's when it comes to Astro, the big thing, of course, is focus on island architecture.
Mhm.
So if you have a problem that's solved by island architecture, then that's perfect. But that's not something that I have, something that I'm solving. So that's
Mhm.
for myself. It doesn't bring that interest.
So
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, they market themselves as the content-driven framework, and
Mhm.
I think when you're going in the direction of blogs or CMS or e-commerce, then these are really useful tools, and the majority of frameworks actually targets these things. I don't know why, but that's the way they do.
Yeah.
What I think is it's doing things better than the rest, or it must be doing things better than the rest, because I've worked also with things like, for example, with Gatsby, and it's easy at the start, and then it gets annoying very fast. And Astro might be just simply better at others that solve this DX. That's what Meteor did in 2016, 2017. It
Yeah.
just solved the developer experience from a very awesome point. And to me, it's doing this nowadays still. It's just not everybody knows about that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, my thought is, I look at a lot of these things, but I don't often try them. So I think this year, my thought is, what I'm going to do is, for these different frameworks that are out there that I look at, we kind of evaluate on a feature by feature basis, or from the feedback that we see from other people, is I'm going to give it a try myself. I'm going to see what it's like, and see how well it works, and whether or not it actually solves a real problem. Because to me, in some cases, the people that have a tremendous amount of content that were using single page applications at the beginning, and were running into some issues with being able to generate the content quickly and serve it up, have gone to server side rendering, and then just serve up flat pages instead, and that's been the solution. um, and if islands is just another way of like trying to solve that problem, I think there are going to be people out there that'll say, all right, well, this works for us, but there might be many others where it's still subpar. So again, I really need to go back and take a look again for myself about what is the problem space that they're solving, and whether or not there's a solution out there already that's solving it in a different way, maybe better. Um, and seeing what it is. But there is a lot of excitement around it. I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I think it's worth taking a look at, which is why I brought it up. So there is that. Have you guys heard about DuckDB?
DuckDB, that's not something I've heard about.
Okay,
No,
well, you guys
I
know what
just
SQLite is, right?
Yes.
I read it
Okay,
up just quickly, and what I really like is
yeah,
more focus on SQLite, because I'm always annoyed to set up a full SQL DB server. It's
yeah.
always so annoying, and SQLite is baked in at so many places
Well,
already.
it has, it's they relate it to SQLite, but the thing is, it's not SQLite, right? What this is an analytics engine that is as easy to set up as SQLite. It's in memory, just like SQLite is, right? And it gives you a tremendous amount of power to do analytics, and so it runs a complex analytics engine, an OLAP engine in memory, and it's lightweight, and so we've been talking about SQLite not too long ago. We talked about it also, I think, with Laurie when he was on the program. So I think
Mhm.
this is a project that is worth taking a look at, because if you can put a lightweight front-end analytics engine on top of, say, for instance, a Meteor application, you might get some real benefits. That's my thinking off the top of my head here. So it looks like it's interesting. It looks like there is a lot of, I don't want to say the word interest again because I'm looking for a better word, but there seems to be quite a bit of upward trend on it, and I think it's worth taking a look at and visiting, especially in the context of Meteor. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that, but if not, the last bit is a technology that we've been looking at for a couple of years now. It's in the oven, it's a bun, and it's the alternative runtime, and it seems to be picking up speed. Is this the year we try to do a swap out with Node and try to get it to run on Meteor? Should we do like a dev shop on that or something and do an episode where we try to make it work and see how far we get?
It would be, in my opinion, this would be an awesome idea for a hackathon. So like having a 1 week hackathon, unite all resources or unite all the powers of the community and try to get Meteor run on Bun within a week. That would be crazy.
It would be nuts. Yeah. So it would be kind of cool to give it a try and see where it is. Again, one of the things I want to do is I want to take Bun, try to build a couple of other types of Node applications with it. Just get a feel, for the runtime, see where it falls short, see where it's superior, and then really make that attempt to do a swap out. And because that's going to take work. And I'm sure it's going to take work that I just don't have the skills for, but hopefully others in the community do, that can come in and help. But I think that's also very exciting. So anyway, those are among the top open source projects that this article talks about. There were 6 of them altogether. Go read the article. You might come up with your own conclusions. The other 3 we didn't talk about, LangChain being one of them. But if you're into, AI, that probably be a project that you might want to take a look at. And with that, I am going to step back now. I think we have another story from you, right, Booster?
Yeah. Okay, let's get from the beginning. So the Linux Foundation bands together Chromium browser makers in a neutral space. Well, what does that sound? That sounds like, what is going on here? That can be anything, right? All and nothing. But here's the thing.
Are they isolating people? Are they like taking them and saying, the neutral space is like you don't play well together, and now we've got to make you behave? What does that mean?
No, it's actually a very great move, because Chromium is the blueprint browser for Chrome, but also any other Chrome-based browsers. And beginning in 2020, it started to get more community-driven, and it's a very great example to see how the ties of a big tech gets less and less, and this project gets more and more open, and now it's even an open governance model.
Interesting.
And it's working. It's working great. And with this, they want to do the next step, and they want to get this even more neutral and to have more people working on it, getting less of this, this is all under the hands of Google. And because in academia, for example, people are very critical in supporting technology that is in the end under the hand of a big corporation. You know, because then the question is always like, okay, and when they will just discontinue, when will it get closed, and so on. And here we have a very positive example how a technology is getting more neutral. And we should keep an eye on this process, because this could be a blueprint for what we talked about a few weeks ago about the MeteorJS, a possible MeteorJS Foundation, and how we can ensure Meteor will continue to live for 10 plus years. And we can learn from these processes these people do. We can learn what they do right. We can learn what they do wrong. We don't need to make all these mistakes that could arise. We could look already what's happening out there. And I found this to be a very positive input for us. So we will keep definitely an eye on this and then report back and give input and inspiration.
I turned my microphone off, so I could, respond, and then I couldn't figure out like how to turn it back on. So, guys, we are using a different streaming platform. You could probably see from the background and from the layout that this is quite different than what we've used before. So we're still learning how to use it, what it's got. We are streaming to 2 channels right now. So if you decide that you're a little bored about being on the MeteorJS community channel, you want to go over to the MeteorJS NYC channel, by all means, go ahead and do so. Make it happen. But if you're on the MeteorJS NYC channel and we haven't had meetups in a long time and you're like wondering, well, where else is the community? MeteorJS Community is where you can find us. And from there, you'll get a lot of links on where you can go for the global Meteor community. Pretty awesome. I think that is a good thought about the foundation. We have spent a lot of time over the last, certain number of us over the last 2-3 years thinking about this. So it'll be great to see other models that could point the way potentially for where the Meteor community can go. And I think now we're sort of on the core. Oh, that's right. Hey, folks, if you have not yet done so, we have a lot of you out there that watch the program and come back again and again. So if you can, just hit that subscribe button. Let us know that you want to be part of this community. Actually, just don't stand off in the corner like this is a high school dance and you don't want to engage. Come in. Even if you're a bad dancer, we'll have you. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I'm not a good dancer, yes. And, Jan Kuster is trying to do some kind of robot chicken thing. So, it's, if he could do it, you could do it too. So join us, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and help us get to 350. And that'll be pretty awesome at this point. Okay. With that, I'm going to turn this over to our friend Jan Dvorak, who is still in his set. Look at his face. He's so sad. He is sad because he's no longer in Japan. He's back.
Yeah.
So many people want to go to Europe. Jan wants to leave Europe and go back to Japan. Yes, there we go. So I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, storyteller. You tell us a story about Meteor News. Let us know what's going on.
Just to the Europe thing, I don't want to live in a museum. That's just, I'll leave it at that. For Meteor News, we have 2 exciting releases from the Meteor Community packages. Autoform version 8 is out, and Meteor Hooks 2 is out. So all the Meteor 3 compatibility is done with that. Also with Autoform 8, you will see there's a lot of other releases of all the different plugins, and what has not been released will probably be done soon as well, I think, by Jan. So, and then, Jan, you have something special to say about Meteor React Native. What's that all about?
Beginning from April, I will continue working on that library because it will be time for me again to work on my mobile applications, because once in a year there needs to be the SDK bump and so on. And I'm also starting a new project at work where mobile development is back. And the Meteor React Native library still needs a major refactoring. It needs some fixes of some quirks. And there are also some features I have on the list I want to implement. So beginning from April to May, somewhere around, I will be back with heavy focus on that library. So if you rely on that, get prepared. It will not be abandoned, promised.
All right, and finally, just a reminder, Meteor 3.1.1 Beta 2 has been released, and it's expected that by the end of January latest, we'll see a final release on that. We recently saw a release of Node 22.13, if I remember correctly. Let me double check on that very quickly. So that's still big question mark. It's 22.13. That was January 7th. Not really anything big major changes for that. In the 23 version, that's something happening, but that's for once Node 24 is out. For that, what it means for us in Meteor, still a question mark if the latest node will make it into Meteor 3.1.1. There is a pull request for that, so hopefully it will make it in time. If not, it will be in 3.2 or maybe a later patch release. And yeah, with that, please check out the beta, test it out, let us know what issues will you encounter or not. At least for me, the big thing when I'm trying to also get in the latest node will be upgrade to npm. So if you have experienced issues with npm, like freezing during installation or something like that, be sure to update to the latest version of npm. That should hopefully fix it. And yeah, anything else to add? Actually, Jan, a question from Mink. What's your React Native app about?
Yeah, it's a while ago. I presented the project at a former Meteor Impact conference, sneak peek. And we have this mobile learning and diagnostic app for German people with low literacy, and we not only use it to provide free learning materials for people with up to the lowest literacy levels, but also try to do research on the underlying competency model. And we're adding a totally new area of content there, with also new items and new tasks and units about financial literacy, which is a super important topic that is not at all covered in the German school system, for example.
I think most school systems don't cover that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, to our last item, which is an announcement. And that is that Meteor Impact 2025 will be happening. We have initial sponsor, Volatile Universe. Yeah, so it will happen in fall. We'll have more news on that as things come together. With that said, I'm looking for more sponsors, and already you can start thinking if you want to be a speaker, if you want to present. So stay tuned for more information. We'll have the date soon. Just want to double check my proposed dates to make sure that everybody who might be interested in speaking can make it, and also that we don't conflict with any of the other conferences that we might potentially want to go to. So yeah, Meteor Impact is back in the town, and we'll have more on that as things go. So hopefully we'll have more the date next week as well.
Terrific. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. Coming up next week, we're going to have an interview with Harry Adele. Harry's done some great work recently, and one of the things I think that we should all take a look at is his video series on developing your first Meteor application. He's going to chat a little bit about that in an interview with Storyteller. We'll be having that next week. And then the week after that, some of you may have heard, excuse me, that we have selected 2024 Meteor Ambassadors, and we're going to have an awards day, night, whatever you might want to call it, afternoon. You're gonna see us, and we're gonna bring those fine people in. We're getting in touch with them this week, and we're going to let them know that they have won. There's at least one person who knows that they've won that award this year. Now, here's the thing: like, we don't want this to be limited to just a handful of people. We want it to be open to anybody. So anyone that's doing work to spread the word about Meteor, writing about it, building apps and sharing them, doing tutorials, helping out the community, we want to know about it, and we want to bring you into this other community of ambassadors. So, guys, want to add anything to it?
Looking forward to it.
All right. And with that, we're going to say have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now I got to figure out how to end this thing. Bye.